Hello, everyone. Today, I would like to just do a quick introduction to SQL and how does a SQL statement actually work. By this time, I assume that you've already seen a SQL statement and you have a basic understanding of what goes on, but I thought making a video going step by step executing a SQL statement against the database and showing you exactly what happens every step of the way would be beneficial. So in order to do this, we're going to use a modified version of the simplified sales table that I just invented and made up some fake data and I put it into a spreadsheet. And we're going to try to answer this question. What are all the names of all the manufacturers who make shoes? So you can go ahead and pause the video now and try to come up with a SQL statement that you think would answer this question. Okay, so I figure that I would go over the way that we write a SQL statement and how it differs from the way that a SQL statement is executed. So here you can see the basic structure of a SQL statement, where you'll select some data from some table where everything meets some condition, and you might order it by some column. So in our case, we're going to select distinct manufacturer name from our simplified sales table. And because we only want the manufacturers who make shoes, we are going to put the where product name equals shoes into the where clause. And then we'll order it by manufacturer name just so it stays in alphabetical order. So this is the way that we write a SQL statement, but the way it runs is a lot different. This is the basic structure of the order in which a SQL statement is run. So it starts in the from clause. It decides which table it's going to get the data from and what tables it's going to join to it. Then after it's selected the table, it's going to run the conditions to eliminate unneeded data. And then it will group by data and use having, but you can see they're in red here. I'm not going to cover them in this explanation, but I will be making a video in the future going over group by and having and how they work. So for now, we can ignore them. So after we select the table in the from clause and we eliminate rows that we don't want in the where clause, we then select the columns that we want. After we select the columns that we want, we put all of those columns in order, and then we use distinct to eliminate duplicate columns. Now, when I say it like that, it might sound a little bit confusing, so let's instead go ahead and run that statement that we wrote earlier. So here's the list of my fake data. As you can see, there's only 5 columns: ID, first name, last name, product name, and manufacturer name, and there are only 6 entries. It's all very basic. It's just for educational purposes. In real life, you'd probably be selecting many more rows with many more conditions, and even joining many tables together. Regardless, the principle remains the same. So starting at the beginning, we're going to start in the from clause. This one's very simple. We just select the table from which we are going to get the data from. So since we are selecting from simplified sales, we will simply get this simplified sales table. Next is the where clause. The where clause will eliminate all of the rows that do not meet this condition. In our case, the condition is that product name is equal to shoes, and you can see that these 3 rows, row 0, row 2, and row 5, all meet the condition where product name equals shoes. Rows 1, 3, and 4 do not. So after we run the where clause, we eliminate the unneeded data, and we're left with just those 3 rows. Moving on to the select clause. Now is when you select the column names that we want. So out of these 5 column names, we really only want the manufacturer. So after we get this data, we select only the manufacturer name column and get rid of the other 4. Then we order by. Order by default orders things alphabetically. So as you can see in our SQL statement, we order by manufacturer name. And as you can see in this example, the order is Nike, Adidas, Nike when Adidas should come first. So it just reorders the rows and puts it into the proper alphabetical order. If you were to put order by descending or order by manufacturer name DESC, then it would do it in reverse order where Adidas would be on the bottom and Nike would be on top. After we order by and get the rows in the proper alphabetical order, we then execute the distinct clause. What distinct does is it goes through and eliminates duplicate rows. So as you can see, we have 2 rows that just say Nike, so we just get rid of one of them. And then that's our final output. So I hope that was helpful. This quick run through the SQL statement to show you that it's really not that complicated. And if you ever get stuck, you can just go through step by step, following the steps, and hopefully you can get to the end. So running through it just one more time. Here's the order one last time. Here's our data. We select which table we're going to be getting the data from. We eliminate the rows that do not meet our conditions in the where clause. We select the column that we want out of the remaining rows. We order things to put them in the proper order. We get rid of duplicates if we're using distinct. And then that's where we are. Thank you for watching. I hope this video is helpful and that it can help you to better understand how a SQL statement works.